So Andrew Tate recently had a podcast with Candace Owens, and in this he discusses how he connects to the disenfranchised youth nowadays and how he actually influences them.
Okay. So the way that I read you, and you can definitely let me know if I'm wrong, obviously, because you are you, is that people that don't come from a lot, me and you,
Yeah.
um, obviously have different decisions that lay before us in life than people that come from everything or people that come from a very stable household, two loving parents. And this kind of gets into the dilemma. I remember years ago, Tommy Lahren had said something. She's a political commentator in the US, had said something to the effect of, well, Jay-Z used to sell crack. And he sort of laughed.
And he probably did.
And he did. And he sort of laughed this off. And I remember looking at that because I looked up to Jay-Z's music so much, and I looked up to him because it made it possible for me to change my circumstances. And you're looking at this guy who comes from nothing. He came from the projects. He sold drugs, and then he doesn't have to sell drugs anymore. And he's now talking about ideas and talking about business. So I was able to more closely understand and go, okay, I can actually climb out of these circumstances, even though I wasn't born, with a ton of wealth and a lot of opportunities that some people were.
Yeah.
And I think it's very difficult for people that don't come from nothing to understand that. And they're so sure that if they were in desperate circumstances, that they would still never do anything.
But this is their massive mistake. And you're right, but this is their massive mistake. The reason I have such huge affinity with the youth of the world today, especially the masculine youth, is one, because a lot of them are disenfranchised, which is one conversation. But two, also the reason my reach is so global, the reason I have so many fans in Slovenia and Southside Chicago, and I've had kids from Ulaanbaatar come up to me, Mongolia, all around the world, is because I speak to the disenfranchised. And part of that is always going to be, or is going to involve, financially disenfranchised. I'm someone who comes from absolutely nothing and made himself into something. And unfortunately, there's a rocky road sometimes, like you just described with Jay-Z, to get that done. But if I would have been born into a perfect family, like you said, two loving parents, family was rich, white picket fence, and I was saying all the same things, then they wouldn't have the same affinity. So if you look at even a lot of superheroes, you look at Batman, he's a flawed person. And I think the reason I'm seen as a hero and the reason I have the fan base I have is because to a degree, I've always been a flawed person and I'm not a perfect human and I don't want to be. And I think that actually adds a lot of credibility to my character as a whole, that I've become the kind of person who believes he can add value to the world. And just like you said with Jay-Z, he changed.